So Channing Tatum plays Jeffrey Manchester, a discharged veteran turned burglar known as the Roofman, thanks to his signature move of dropping in through ceilings to rob McDonald's. When he gets caught and sent to prison, he breaks out and hides inside of a Toys R Us like a fugitive squatting in Santa's workshop. So I feel like Channing Tatum has always been at his best when a movie lets him, blend humor with sincerity. That kind of mix of charisma and awkwardness and like that genuine warmth that makes people want to root for him in the first place. And Roofman plays right into that. It doesn't try to reinvent him, it just gives him space to do what he's good at naturally without overdoing it. Jeff is this guy that leads with his heart on his sleeve, and he's forced to live in isolation or risk going to prison, probably for life. He's just a guy trying to figure it out despite making the worst decisions at every possible turn. And that's where, Tatum shines. There's still that like easygoing charisma that he's always had, but it feels more lived in. Jeff comes across so lost at some points that it is like really heartwarming to see him get a chance to throw on the charm. And you get to believe that he could like talk his way in and out of situations, and that he just feels very natural around people despite, the severe anxiety of a situation. He's funny when the movie needs it, but never in a way that breaks the tone, and he brings the drama in a believable way. I think it's definitely one of his most balanced performances. Kind of reminds you why for a time he was like the leading man. Kirsten Dunst is in this movie. She plays Lee, who is a single mom who works at the Toys R Us that he's squatting at. When she is introduced, the movie does a total 180 from true crime comedy to full-blown rom-com. And I'll be honest, this is where the movie began to lose me. Their chemistry doesn't necessarily feel the most natural to me. I do like that it's not this like Hollywood perfect matching, and it's more of like two people finding a reason to, to love again, as cheesy as that sounds. And she's the second chance that makes the story work because she believes in Jeffrey in a way that he doesn't believe in himself. Through her and her kids, we get to see a version of Jeff that has a purpose. And it's the kind of relationship that you want to root for, even if you know it can't really last. But the scenes themselves do feel a bit cookie cutter, kind of like Lifetime movie vibes. And like for the most part, I did enjoy the relationship. I thought it was cute, but at over 2 hours, the pacing can really drag, and settling into that rom-com portion can take longer than it should. This movie's also rated R for some reason, and I don't think it needed to be, like, at all. Just take out some of the nudity, clean up some of the language, and this could have been a very surprisingly effective PG-13 drama. Peter Dinklage is also in this movie, and he plays the grumpy store manager that we've all worked for at some point. We also got Lakeith Stanfield and Ben Mendelsohn popping in and out for a brief but solid performance, rounding out a cast that makes the world feel lived in. But what really sells it is the setting. The film doesn't just treat the store as like some quirky backdrop, it makes the setting a crucial part of Jeffrey's day-to-day survival. The movie shows the way his brain works to solve problems, and that's when the movie's most interesting. But it's also kind of sad because the setting highlights a guy with no home, nowhere to belong, but he desperately wants a place to fit in, yet he's trapped in this cycle of poor decision making and lacks all the self-awareness to make any changes. To me, Roofman works best as a low-key character-driven drama wearing the mask of a true crime story. It's just a story about a man trying to rebuild himself in secret, and what that says about people who'd rather hide from their mistakes than face them. So if you've seen Blue Valentine or The Place Beyond the Pines, you know that Derek Cianfrance loves messy people making bad choices. This movie is no exception, but it is a lot lighter than his usual work. It's more bittersweet than devastating. It also never quite decides what it wants to be. It's like part tender drama, part low stakes crime story, part comedy, and it juggles all of them decently, but not seamlessly. There are stretches where it feels like it's unsure whether to chase tension or emotion or just a laugh, and it ends up landing somewhere in the middle. I don't know if I'd go back and rewatch it. I'm not a big rom-com guy in general, and I feel like it never quite hits that emotional gut punch that they're aiming for. For being based off a true story that is this ridiculous, it was pretty entertaining. So if you've seen the movie, let me know what you thought down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.